What's up everyone and welcome back to the Draft Dynasty channel. Today we have another European defenseman, Topi Niemelä, and it's gonna be a fun one because he's very different from the two previous Swedes. Let's take a quick look at his profile. So he is born on March 25th, 6 foot, 163 pound. And 6 foot, I'm really not sure about that because with the eye test, he look maybe more 5'10", 5'11", maybe with his skate on, he's 6 feet. And even the 163 pound, I'm not sure if this is accurate. Maybe now with all the break that he had because of the virus, but he's someone really skinny. He's not big at all and he's weak physically on the smaller side. Let's take a look at his stat. And the first thing you gotta notice is that he was never really a crusher offensively. So if we're looking at last year, finished with only 8 points in 39 games. The year before that, 9 points in 36 games. This year, of course, he played in the Liga, which was very impressive to see a guy, a defenseman, 150 pounds, being able to play against men in the Liga. This was impressive. 43 games, 7 points. So in terms of production, it's actually pretty impressive given he was only playing 12-13 minutes per game. Not a lot of power play time as well. And given he was never an offensive dynamo, 7 points in 43 games, very respectable for a rookie defenseman, 17 years old in the Liga. And probably the most impressive stat for me is that he was able to get 100 shots on net in only 43 games. So if you adjust per ice time for the defenseman in the Liga, he's up there. He's one of the best. I think he's around top 20 in the whole league. So that was impressive, the way he was able to generate a lot of shot on net even at 5-on-5. Alright, so let's start with the clips, and it shouldn't be too hard to spot him on the ice. He's gonna be wearing the number 7 and he's pretty much the smallest player on the ice. And the number 1 category I like about him, and for him it was very easy. The more you watch him, the more you start to notice how smart he is. So this guy is all about hockey IQ. And hockey IQ sometimes is a bit more tricky to display on video because sometimes it's not about what we are seeing on the ice, but it's more about what we are not seeing. So if I compare him, let's say, with the other two Swedes in the previous video, some of them were making a lot of mental mistake, bad positioning, and with a guy like Topi Niemelä, he's simply not doing much mistake on the ice. And by mistake, what I mean, for defensemen, it's usually going to be positioning and also risk assessment. And for Niemelä, those two categories are pretty much his bread and butter. So you know when it's time to put pressure and pinch, let's say, to keep the play alive in the other zone, but he also knows when it's time to put the brake on and maybe go and support his other D partner, back him up in case something bad happened. When I was watching footage from LG Grants in the SHL, there's a lot of time where I was holding my breath. I wasn't sure. I was putting my coach's glasses on and I was like, I'm not sure I would put him on the ice in those situations. And with Topi Niemelä, it was the other way around. When I was watching him, I was never stressed that something bad would happen. I would even say that I was confident that he would never put really the team in a bad spot, in trouble. So for a guy 17 years old to display this kind of maturity, it's quite telling about how smart he is. He's definitely way beyond his years in terms of how he thinks the game. It's not normal for a young defenseman, 17 years old, to go at the pro level in the Liga like that and be poised and kind of be the go-to guy. There's some time even they were leading by 1 goal. End of the game, 1 or 2 minutes left, and the coaches trusted him to defend the 1-goal lead and close out the game. So very impressive and speak volume about his defensive ability. Changing subject now, remember earlier in the video I said he was really good at putting shot on net, so he finished with 100 shot. And the main reason why he had so many shot on net, it's not because he's super fast, it's not because he has so crazy good hands, it's because he's, in my opinion, the best defenseman in the draft in the offensive zone when he doesn't have the puck. So what I mean by that, when he doesn't have the puck in the offensive zone, there's multiple things. So there's different type of defensemen when you're watching hockey, and you have some that are going to be more static at the point, not moving much. With him, he is always in movement. He's always going to try to look if there's an open spot in the slot, and this is a very special skill. If you look around, there's not many defensemen that are able to do that, to kind of always be in movement and support their forward. And it's not just supporting. There's like time where he's going to drive the net, try to go for a rebound, try to go for a deflection. I saw him screen goalies, and for a defenseman to do that, it's rare that you see that, especially that he's like 160 pounds, a defenseman playing against men. I think he was driving the net more than other prospects like Jean-Luc Foudy that are playing more around the perimeter. So he's a guy that doesn't mind going to traffic. And when you're playing defense, it's one thing to support the attack, but you need to be able to pick your spot because you don't want to get caught with a turnover, the puck goes the other way and you get scored. And with him, I was extremely impressed for the amount of time that he was going extremely deep in the offensive zone. He almost never get caught. Whenever you have a defenseman like that on your team on the offensive zone, it's gonna change the whole dynamic offensively of your team. It's gonna be much harder for the other team to defend you because now they're gonna be put in a lot of little 2-on-1 mini situation, and they're gonna have to take some tougher decision now. Should I cover Topi Niemelä or the forward? And also, whenever you have movement like that in the offensive zone, for the defensive team, it's gonna be harder now for the assignment. Typically, the defensemen are pretty easy to cover. You're gonna have your winger watching them up top, but when you have someone like Topi Niemelä that is moving around like that, you have no choice to really have good communication in your zone, and you're gonna need to make some switches sometime. Usually when you have good movement in the offensive zone like that, it's gonna create some mental breakdown. There are gonna be some opening, and it's just fun that one player like Topi Niemelä is able to create a lot of chaos in the for the defensive team. So it's a really nice addition to have a guy like that on your team. And even though he might not put point on the board, he's just creating a lot of chaos, and it's fun to have a player like that on your team. This clip here is a pretty good example of what I'm saying. So Topi Niemelä is on the top right of the screen in white. Most defensemen are gonna stay in this general area and not move much, but look what he's doing. So he's the first one in the corner, and I can tell you that with almost all the other defensemen in this draft, this play would be absolutely dead right now. But with him, this is what he does. He's just very good at keeping plays alive and extending the position of the puck, whether it is to pinch on the board or just going deeper in the zone to retrieve a loose puck. He's really good with that. And another thing he's doing very well is just whenever he's doing a pass, he's not gonna watch his pass and do nothing, eat popcorn. He's gonna move his feet and do something else right after he does a pass. So that's another thing I like about him. He kind of thinks fast. So there's a lot of players, they're gonna do let's say a zone exit, and after that they're gonna completely stop skating. They're gonna admire their pass. With him, as soon as he finishes his pass, he's gonna be next to the other sequence of action. He's gonna do something else, an action. He's not gonna stand there and do nothing. This right here is a good example of what I'm saying, and it's not just in the offensive zone. Even in his zone, he's doing the same thing. So the first thing here, he handled the pressure like a boss, because it was not an easy situation facing two guys under pressure. And right after his pass, he was gone. So you can clearly see how smart he is and how quick he was able to do that. And it's simple math. If there's two guys deep below your goal line, there's gonna be room there, and you need to counterattack quick, and this is what he did. Alright, so let's switch it up. Let's look at his ability to make a good first pass, zone exit, and I would rate him as good, but nothing amazing. He's not bad. I would say just around average, maybe a little bit above average. A lot of the time I notice he would settle to do the easy pass and the high percentage pass. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but I just wish I was able to see him execute a little bit more of the harder stuff. But we gotta keep in mind as well, in the Finland Liga, there's a lot of teams that are playing like 4-player in the neutral zone, so it's not exactly easy to thread the needle, make some big long stretch pass. But overall, even offensively, I think his vision and his playmaking ability are pretty limited. There's a reason why in the past 3 years he never made more than 10 points during a regular season. He's not really a player that's gonna wow you, that you're gonna jump out of your seat with something really flashy, creativity. No, it's more about simple stuff with him. You know what you're gonna get, but from what I've seen, there's nothing really elite in his game, maybe other than his brain, his positioning, ability to process the game. This I think is pretty high end. But if you look at all the other individual category, let's say the size, it would be below average. Skating for me is average. We're gonna take a closer look. His shot as well. Same thing with the puck skill. I would say it's pretty around average. Offensive instinct maybe slightly below average. Defensive ability just maybe good to very good. So all in all, you have a player that you can't really point the finger at anything and say, oh, this is bad, you need to improve this. He's doing pretty much everything well, but on the other side, there's nothing really that is really high end and really remarkable about his game. So it's hard for me to project him with a very high ceiling. I would label him more maybe as a safe floor with low upside type of player. With the way he was able to handle himself against pros in the Liga this year, you gotta be pretty optimistic about his ability to adapt at a higher level. So I'm pretty confident he's gonna make it to the NHL, but I don't see him as a power play guy, nor do I see him as a penalty killing guy. So for me, I project him more as a third pairing guy. He's gonna be there, not gonna hurt you, but it's not gonna do much as well for you. And this is another mistake he did, leaving the guy in front of the net completely wide open. new move, rookie mistake there. And when you start watching those smaller defensemen, you really start appreciating a lot more those defensemen like Sanderson, Gooley, Schneider. Those guys are really able to lock down the center of the net compared to those smaller defensemen, and they're not making those type of mistakes. And overall, the physicality, it plays a part. It's pretty important, especially for defensemen. They're gonna be involved in a whole lot more one-on-one battle, and there's time when Niemelä really got scared and he simply was not able to push around people. He's really undersized, and he's probably always gonna be below average in terms of size. Even if he gets bigger, the average NHL player is probably going to be bigger than him. But I gotta give him some credit though. I was really impressed with how he was able to win a lot of one-on-one battle down low. There's a lot of time where he was going in and I'm saying there's no way he win this one, and he managed, he found a way to win. So I think he does a very good job with his stick defensively, winning a lot of battle, just tipping the puck or using his body with good angle, getting there first. In his zone, clearing the front of the net was a little bit more of a challenge, but in the corners I think he was really good. A lot of time he was the first there, and when it was a 50-50 puck battle, he won a lot of them. And I would even go as far as saying that he won more battle in the game that I've saw than guy like Helge Grens and William Wallinder, and those guys are much taller, much bigger than him. So I think it speaks a lot about his art and his compete level. He's a guy that even though he's small, he's trying and he's pretty crafty. He finds ways.
Saman tien Jesse Ylönen lyö kiekkoa kohti kärppäpäätyä. Hetkellä kovaa töitä. Jesse Ylönen lähtee kääntämään. Ei pääse hänkään muuttanut. Kokenut Tuukka Mäntylä. Sami Moilanen päätyyn. Topi Niemelä vastassa. Sieltä Kukkonen pelaa pyörälälle. Lehtoselle. Keskialueella myös Puistola. Lehtonen pelaa päätyyn ja Patrik Puistola ampaisee kulmauksen. Ensimmäisenä toinen nuori pelaaja Topi Niemelä vastassa. Niemelä siirtää
tällä hetkellä kaiken tarpeellisen. Sarole palauttaa sinne alakertaan ja näin tulee Jukurit yli keskialueen.
Niemelä really reminds me of a player I already did in this draft, Eamon Powell. It's another small defenseman if you want to take a look. I made a video on him, Eden Gen, and it's the same thing. Both of them are really small, but they find ways to win against bigger guys. So usually most of the time those guys, I'm going to say they have good stick, first of all, good defensive stick. On top of that, they are not quitters. They compete pretty hard, so they're never going to quit on a play. So that's that for physicality and one-on-one battle. Let's switch it up. I think we're going to finish the video with more individual stuff. So I'm gonna take a look at his skating ability, and we're gonna finish with his shooting ability. So first, let's start about the skating. And this, I've seen a lot of people saying that he was a very good skater, great skater. Even himself as a player, I think he described his skating as very good, one of his best assets, and I just don't see that at all. At first, I thought he was a pretty average skater, and the more I watch him, I start to maybe appreciate a bit more his edges, his agility, his side-to-side movement. I think it's pretty decent. But when I watch his first few steps, I don't see someone with really quick feet, the twitch muscle really to have a good acceleration. So I think the acceleration is pretty average, and the top speed as well. He doesn't have great top speed, and overall his legs are not really strong. But again, of course, if he gets stronger, it might help his skating. But for me, I would say he's nothing more than maybe slightly above average in terms of skating. And for a guy's his size, especially for a defenseman, I'm really looking for a little bit more speed than that. So if I look in the NHL right now, almost all of the good relevant defensemen that are undersized, they are all good skaters. So until I see someone really elite, a very good defenseman that is small with average-ish skating, I'm not really gonna want to pay a premium for those type of defensemen. And getting back to the skating, the Liga is tracking the speed of the player, and just for fun, we're gonna take a look here. It's in kilometer per hour. So Niemelä was at 33.79 kilometer per hour, and the worst in the Liga are around 31 and 32. For example, Roni Hirvonen was at 34.88, Anton Lundell at 35.29. So those two are considered pretty average-ish skater. And you have another defenseman, Emil Viro, that is around 38.32. So that guy can skate. He's one of the best skater at defense in the draft. If we take a quick look at his skating, his technique is not awful, but whenever he starts pushing, I feel like he's already toward the end of his motion. The stride is pretty short, and the finishing part, he has trouble kind of digging his toe into the ice. So the ankle, maybe, flexibility is not there. You also have the stride recovery recovery. So every time he's pushing, when he brings back his feet, maybe he should be more toward the center of his body. And of course, overall, the power in his stride, it's a problem. If you watch the speed skater in the Olympics, they all have big ass legs, so it might be useful for him to get stronger down there. Let's wrap this up with the shooting ability, and it's kind of like the general trend of the video. He's not great, but he's not bad. So what I like about his shot is his release is pretty quick, and also the technique is pretty good. He also does a pretty good job to get open in the first place to receive a pass to get his shot off, but in the end there's really not much power behind his shot. Accuracy is so-so, and I think he scored like 5 goals over the past 3 years, so I think it's safe to say the scoring touch is not quite there. I also felt like sometimes he would get a little bit trigger happy, so just shooting pucks on net for no real good reason, and he doesn't really have the shot to beat goalie clean, so there's time where he should look to make more passes in the offensive zone instead of just throwing pucks on net. Anyways, this is gonna be it for this video. He's probably gonna be around 45 in my list, so mid second round. I still think he's got a good chance to make it to the NHL, so this is worth something, but not really a sexy pick for me, not enough upside for my taste. For the next video, I'm gonna do Brendan Brisson. I think we've done enough European defensemen. We can go back to doing some forwards, and I'm sorry to everyone. I know I've been slacking a little bit with the channel. I've been back to work for the past 2 weeks, and it's pretty much taken all the life out of me. I also played 3 games of golf with my buddies, and man, this sport is so frustrating. I used to play a lot more when I was 14, 15 years old, and now I'm pretty much hitting twice as hard, and I cannot even come close to the score that I was getting when I was 15 years old. So it's a bit annoying, but anyways, this is it for this episode. See you on the next one. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, all the jazz. See you on the next one.